Quite a number of Birmingham fans getting in touch this morning, Simon, asking me to ask you, if you've made a big decision and you've said goodbye to John Eustace and you've brought in a high-profile, big-name individual like Wayne Rooney, and it doesn't go right, how long do you give it? Were you in a situation at Palace, Simon, whereby you said goodbye to one manager, you appointed another, and the early signs were, geez, I might have to bite the bullet on this one. This isn't working.
Steve Kember. So I fired him.
So you just did it like that. And what can you remember the numbers involved there with games played, and you thought this is not going to work? Was it very early?
It's probably about 9 or 10 games.
Right.
We got the final 10 lid was getting beat 5-0 away by Dave Whelan's Wigan, and cleared it to me. And I had a very good relationship with Kemba, and the club had a very good relationship with him. And when I gave him the job, it was on the back of saying to him, if you really want this job, you do realise that you had a job for life prior to this. If I put you in a manager's job, you won't have a job for life. You'll be fired and you'll be out of a job, and you'll be out of the club probably as a result of it, if you really want to take that step up. And it was someone that had done a lot for me, someone that had been very heavily involved in the club, someone that had stepped in as a caretaker manager on a number of occasions. And it was something that the fans had resisted as well. They said when I called a press conference or a fans forum and said this is where I was going with, the fans were like, well, why are you going down this route? It's a cheap route. I said, well, I'm not going down it because it's a cheap route. I think it's the right route. But I didn't double down. It was evident to me.
Yeah.
But if we're going to take that as a comparison to the Rooney situation, I don't think that's a fair analysis. I think Rooney's got 5 games in. The games that he's played have all been teams that have been, with the exception of Middlesbrough are in a vein of form, I've been either above them,
right,
or in situ with them.
They've got 1 point from 15.
Yeah, I get that. And they've got Sheffield Wednesday this week. Now, if you start getting beat by teams like Sheffield Wednesday, then you can start having conversations and start getting slightly worries.
Well, that's right.
And
they lost 2-1 to Sunderland at the weekend.
Well, in the ensuing games, they've got Sheffield Wednesday at home, they've got Blackburn Rovers away, they've got Rotherham at home. If you don't start winning those sort of games, then you can have conversations.
Then you are in trouble.
And I've been a critic of the appointment, not a critic of the individual. I'm playing the game, not the man. The man's irrelevant. It happens to be Rooney. It's the media that make the noise about Rooney. I'm making the noise about the appointment. John Eustace, despite the fact that certain Birmingham fans were saying to me that the performance of the sides wasn't that great, didn't deserve to be fired for someone that's got a 27% win record. That 27% win record happened to be that of Wayne Rooney. Now, that by the same token, Wayne Rooney doesn't deserve to be fired because he's Wayne Rooney, and it's 5 games in. Yeah,
and I recognise what you're saying, and you are being very fair about that. So the fact of the matter is they've gone from 6th, where they were with John Eustace when he was sacked, and now they're 18th. And that's not lost on D, who's a Birmingham City fan. Jim, we stepped in a big puddle here, big time. At the moment, we'll see where their confidence is at the turn of the year, but we certainly have a lot to do here. So D is concerned. Quite a number of Birmingham fans are concerned this morning.
7 points off playoffs. You're 7 points off the playoff spots, and someone will turn around and say, and you're 7 points or 8 points off the bottom 3. That is the championship.
Right.
You've got to give this. You've made a decision. I don't think it was the greatest decision, but they've made it. So they've got to give him an opportunity to lay down whatever he thinks he needs to achieve to start producing a winning side.
But you didn't give that opportunity to Steve Kember. But you're suggesting, in fairness here, Wayne should be given that.
I gave him 3 months, and it was evidently wrong, and my eyes didn't betray me. He had 11, 12 games.
Right.
The team was getting worse, and so I made a decision. And after 5 games, that noise should not be. This noise is because it's Rooney.
Yeah.
And he got the job because it's Rooney.
I see what you're saying.
So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? He got it because he was Rooney, and now he's getting the consequence of it.
But you've been writing columns about him as well in the Mail, have you not? You touched on it as well.
I wrote an article about the same subject matter that I've just suggested, which is it cannot be that someone with a win record of 27% takes the job of someone that's in the top 6 in a division.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, D, the Birmingham fan I mentioned, says, come the January transfer window, we will see if the owners still have confidence. Certainly, at the weekend, in spite of the fact they lost 3-1 to Sunderland, Wayne was putting a positive spin in it.
Disappointed because I thought the performance was a good away performance, but I think overall the lads put a great effort in once again. Again, a lot of positives, and so we've come to a really tough period of fixtures, which now we need to really focus on. Obviously, after the international break, really picking up results, because that's where we need to do.
But he's right. If he believes that the performances aren't getting the results, right, then he must be given time. Now, they were 2-0 up against Ipswich, and this is one of the form teams in the division. Ipswich, I think if they'd won that game, would have gone top of the league.
Yeah.
So they were 2-0 up. So they draw 2-2, which is a decent result, but a poor result if you're 2-0 up. So clearly there's some ingredients there. Now, I'm not watching Birmingham on a weekly basis. Only the Birmingham fans can say if what Rooney's saying is the performances are there, the results are not. If the performances are there, then the results will come.
And from what Wayne's saying, the performances are there.
Yeah, he's not going to turn around and say anything else, is he?
No,
but I don't know if it to be true or not. What I do know is that it wouldn't have been the start that he wanted, and he wouldn't have wanted to get 1 point from 5 games. But if you look at the games, Middlesbrough, Hull, Southampton, Ipswich and Sunderland, the bulk of those sides, with the exception of Hull, potentially might have been shoo-ins as people's perspective, well, maybe not Ipswich because Ipswich is going so well now, as potential challengers to get out of the division.
Okay.
So I give him a little bit of latitude.
A bit of latitude, fair enough. They've gone from 6th to 18th, but Birmingham fans, have you seen signs that make you feel confident that Wayne Spell in charge will turn a corner and it will start going in the right direction? You're more than welcome to give me a call on that. 03717 223344 810 89.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.